Hey, First Impressions team, as Pastor Nate here. First off, I just want to say thank you for taking time each month to serve our first-time guests, our regular attenders, and our Heartland missionaries that come into our worship services on Sunday. This past week, we had a First Impressions team meeting, and there are two more in this year, but I wanted to catch you up if you weren't able to be there this past Tuesday. We have some things that I call guardrails that help us stay on track as far as why we have a First Impressions team. It's the why behind the what of serving our guests, regular attenders, and members. A couple of those things are we want to build a community, not a crowd. Pastor Nathan talked about this a few months ago in a sermon in the Why series. Basically, we don't want to gather on Sunday mornings just to have a crowd, just to have numbers, but we want, as people gather and form a crowd, we want to move them in a process to join a community here. And we play a role in that as we greet, as we help connect people, as we push people to starting point class as well. We want to show hospitality and not partiality, meaning that we want to treat all of our first-time guests, our regular attenders and Heartland missionaries that come through the door on a Sunday morning, a Wednesday night, or a Sunday night. We want to treat them all like we would treat a close friend that we want to come back. Also, we believe the sermon starts in the parking lot, and so that's why we have Naeem, and this on Easter we're going to have Eric at the pecan entrance greeting, and we've got golf carts going to give people rides, and on nice days, when the weather's nice, we greet our first-time guest out in the parking lot. So just to create a atmosphere of love and welcoming from the beginning, from the first time their wheels hit our property. And then what we spent our time talking about in the First Impressions team meeting this past week was that we want to exceed expectations. So every Sunday, whether we think about it or not, or whether our guests are thinking about it or not, they have a set amount or kind of expectations of how they will be treated when they come upon our campus. And to be quite honest, I don't know if you've always had good experiences when you have come onto a church campus as a guest, but to be honest, churches in general are not doing a great job at exceeding the guest expectations. In fact, it is an assumption of mine, but I think it's true, that most often when people are coming to a church for the first time, they probably have low expectations of how they're going to be treated. Maybe they've done a little bit of research online, or maybe they have been invited by a friend and so they know something about the church they're attending. But we want to not only exceed their expectations, their low expectations, we want to blow them out of the water at Heartland. In Matthew chapter 11, Jesus talks about how he values people. He says this, Matthew 11, 28 through 30. "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I've read those verses many times, but it wasn't until recently that I caught Jesus' care and love for people in that. Why else would he tell people who are burdened and heavy laden to come to him and to take upon his yoke that is easy? When we welcome guests, even members, regular attenders, people that are here at Heartland every Sunday, we welcome them knowing that many of them walk into our doors heavy laden and burdened. And we can be messengers in how we greet, how we love, how we treat them. We can be messengers of Jesus' message, of the gospel, that he says, come to me, and I want to give you a yoke that is easy and that is light. So what you do matters, and how you do it matters, because adequate defines too many of our experiences, and it should not define the experience that a guest has when they come onto the property of a church. Adequate isn't bad. Because, even if you have an adequate experience at a grocery store or restaurant, you at least get what you want, what you came there for. But the experience isn't anything to write home about. I want, more than anything, people to write home about their experience at Heartland. I want them to be blown away at the love of Jesus Christ that they have experienced. So I want to encourage you to do a couple things in order to be able to do that. And we walked through these things at the meeting. Treat every guest, regular attender, and HC missionary like a VIP. And that's two things: a very important person, but also a very individual person. That means we want to treat them the way they would want to be treated, and even better. But also we want to go the extra mile, and it also means that we want to take notice and be good listeners to be able to serve each person differently depending on their needs and why they have come. We want to respect their space and their emotions, their abilities, even their culture that they bring with them. So here's a couple things. I cannot urge you enough to call people here for the first time guests, not visitors. We've worked very hard over the past couple years to try to change that terminology. A visitor is somebody you don't want to come back, that you're apprehensive about letting into your home. These people that are coming here for the first time are our guests. We want to serve them that way. We are expecting them, and we are prepared for them. So call them guests, not visitors. Number two, be friendly. Show hospitality, not partiality. Welcome them, smile. Even if you've had a rough morning and you're coming in to serve, take a minute in your car to pray and ask the Lord to give you a servant's heart for the people that you're going to interact with. Number three, know the answers to commonly asked questions. Here's an example of a few. Where are the bathrooms? Where are classes located? You can find that information at the Next Steps area in the foyer. Where is the sanctuary and how do I get there? Where do I take my children, infant to high school? And how do I learn more? The big answer there is Starting Point. Invite them to the next Starting Point class, which is May 19th. And then all the other answers you might need, the volunteers at the Next Steps area can give you. And then lastly, trust the process. Trust the process. We want to welcome them well so that they come back and so that they're invited to come to Starting Point, so they get plugged into a small group and a serving opportunity. And all of that starts with how we welcome them and exceed their expectations the first time they come, because a first impression is a lasting impression. Again, I'm so thankful for each of you and how you serve faithfully each month. If you have any questions, you can reach me by emailing me at nate@heartlandworship.com, and we will see you soon.